Good morning. I'm Erica Thomas, live in the WKBN 27 First News Studios. We're going live on the air with some sad news to report this morning. Overnight, we learned 2 Sharon High School football players died and 2 others are in the hospital. The 4 were involved in this head-on crash that WKBN first brought you as breaking news last night at 11. It happened on Conley Boulevard in Sharon just after 10 o'clock. A silver SUV and that black pickup truck hit head-on. The 4 high school Sharon students, football players, were in that SUV. Now, the driver of the pickup truck was also killed in this crash. 27 First News saw at least 3 medical helicopters fly people to the hospital. Now, this is what we know. The 2 Sharon football players killed are Corey Swartz and Evan Gill. They were both seniors. The 2 players injured are twin brothers, Greg and Craig Osmond. They're also seniors. At last check, both are listed in guarding condition at St. Elizabeth's Medical Center. We're told both have broken bones. Now, overnight, word of the crash and the players' deaths spread on social media sites. More than 12,000 people saw it on the WKBN Facebook page, and hundreds more are following the news on Twitter at WKBN. The 4 teammates were coming home from last night's Hickory football game when this crash happened. Friends and classmates have been gathering throughout the night to console each other on this tragic loss. Amber Swartz says she just can't believe her brother Corey is gone.
I feel like this is a nightmare that I can't wake up from. I feel like it's just a dream that I'll never wake up from. I know I won't ever be the same. I know none of my family would ever be the same. It's just it feels like a part of me is missing.
Now, WKBN 27 Sports Director Ryan Allison has been covering this story for us all night. He's at Sharon High School this morning. He joins us live where the football players and fellow students are starting to gather. And Ryan, you just spoke to the coach. How are the players doing?
Game for the Sharon Tiger football team scheduled for this afternoon. The plan was to get the kids here early at 8:30 a.m., feed them breakfast together as a team, and then depart for Erie Veterans Stadium at 9:30 a.m. Instead, the coaching staff, the principal, and superintendent were here at 7 a.m. to meet with a grief counselor in the hopes of finding some way to explain to this football family why there will not be a football game this evening.
First of all, Coach, I can't imagine the day you've got ahead of yourself here. These are 4 of your kids. These are 4 of your senior class. Tell me about these kids.
Well, I think 14 seniors who have been with us throughout the season. These 4 in particular, like the other 10, exemplified what we've been trying to build here. I think that, their contribution and the memory of 2 of them will be an incentive for the freshmen, sophomores, and juniors who have been around. And I think it will be a motivation for the remaining seniors to understand that life is never fair, and take advantage of each day. And when it's not fair today, there's always tomorrow. And keep the memory of these 2 guys on their shoulder, looking over what they're trying to accomplish.
How difficult is this part of the job for a head coach? Not the tragedy, but the worry that things like this do happen.
Well, for me personally, I'm not sure the chapter has been written that explains to a coach or a parent or a teammate what to say or how to act or how to handle it. Facing a personal tragedy 3 months ago in my own life, that seems pretty minuscule at this time compared to what's happened in these families' lives. So I've claimed and believe that I have been their leader since we started this process back in February. shortly after 8:30 this morning, I'll stand in front of them and try to be a man in their life and give them a message that means something.
You're going to meet with some grief counselors here in a few moments. What do you think you will say to these kids once they get here?
Try to say what I've been saying to them every day for the last 9 months, that life isn't fair. These kids, we inherited a group of kids that in terms of winning and losing the daily battle or the Friday night game were accustomed to looking over their shoulder and expecting something bad to happen, and we got over the hump and got on a streak and started winning some games, and these 4 kids were certainly a part of us being able to accomplish that. So having said that, as crude as it may sound, life has to go on, and we have to be strong for those that have left us.
Thank you, Coach. According to a memo from the District 10 committee, tonight's game with Girard has officially been canceled. I asked Coach Wildman about the possibility of rescheduling that playoff game. He said it would be up to the kids and the conference, but that their top priority is being together as a team. Reporting live in Sharon, I'm Ryan Allison. Erica, back to you.
All right, thanks, Ryan, for that live update this morning. Now, this isn't the first tragedy students at Sharon High School have had to deal with this year. Basketball player LeAngelo Ford was shot and killed this past January. Last night's crash has sent shockwaves throughout the Shenango Valley again. All are in disbelief this happened the night before Sharon's playoff game. Tyler Porterfield is a friend of Corey Swartz and feels this tragedy will be tough for the community.
After all the deaths that's already happened in this community, it's just devastating. This community's honestly not going to know what to do with itself around here. It's really not.
Now, Sharon schools plan to have counselors available for students trying to cope with this tragedy. They'll be available at the high school until noon today. Now, we'll continue to follow this developing story all day long. You can get continuous updates on our website, WKBN.com. Our team will have the latest for you tonight on 27 First News at 11. Thanks for joining us.
Up now on WKBN 27 First News, total team coverage of the tragic car crash in Sharon that left a total of 3 people dead and 4 injured, including Sharon High School football players and a loving father and husband from Brookfield. Plus, remembering the victims from this week's fatal fire in Youngstown, WKBN 27 First News starts right now.
Dan Martin on WKBN 27 First News, where your news comes first in high definition.
Good evening and thanks for watching. I'm Dan Martin. First at 11, family and friends are mourning the loss of a beloved father, and a high school community is remembering 2 bright young football players. All 3 died last night in a tragic car crash. It happened on East Connolly Boulevard in Sharon just after 10 p.m. 50-year-old John Zedler Jr. was pronounced dead at Sharon Regional Health System Friday night after a Mazda SUV driven by Corey Swartz of Sharon drifted across the median line and hit his Chevy Silverado head-on. Swartz and one of his classmates, 17-year-old Evan Gill, died at the scene. Twin brothers Craig and Greg Osmond, also 17, were undergoing surgery later in the day at St. Elizabeth Health Center in Youngstown. All 4 teens in the SUV were members of the Sharon High School football team.
They were on their way home from a football game, from what I heard, and Corey swerved somehow. I don't know what was going on in the car, but Corey swerved and hit the truck head on.
Alcohol, drugs, and texting do not appear to be factors in the crash. Police and the Mercer County coroner are investigating. First News spoke with friends and family of John Zedler today. His wife Kim sent us these pictures. They tell us the Brookfield native loved life and was always friendly and laughing. John's stepson, 10-year-old Evan Wallace, was in the truck with him when the crash happened. along with a friend, 12-year-old Blake Yenderak. Blake was taken to Sharon Regional Health System, treated and released. John's stepson, Evan, is in UPMC Children's Hospital in Pittsburgh. Relatives say Evan has broken bones in his face and will require surgery, but he's expected to be okay. We hope to have more with John's family tomorrow on WKBN 27 First News. First News reporter Josh Furketic spent the day in Sharon. He has reaction tonight from friends and relatives of the teenagers who died in the crash, as well as football coaches and school administrators.
A long and emotional day for Sharon football players and coaches and really the entire community after 2 senior football players were killed, 2 others injured after a motor vehicle accident on Route 62. The day started with the team canceling their District 10 playoff game, but it ended with a chance to play another day.
I feel like this is a nightmare that I can't wake up from. I feel like it's just a dream that I'll never wake up from. I know I won't ever be the same. I know none of my family would ever be the same. It's just it feels like a part of me is missing.
Friends and family of 17-year-old Evan Gill and 18-year-old Corey Swartz gathered early Saturday morning after learning the 2 boys died in a car accident just minutes away from the field where they watched them play football for the Tigers.
I grew up with them playing football. They were athletes also in school, good.
Also in the car were twin brothers Craig and Greg Osman. The 2 were taken to St. E's in Youngstown where they had surgery. Hours later, the team, cheerleaders and band members met for what was supposed to be their District 10 playoff game. Instead, the game was canceled and sadness set in.
These 4 in particular, like the other 10, exemplified what we've been trying to build here.
Shock, loss. They went from the high of being excited about being in a playoff game and being ready to play football today to, devastation of losing some dear friends.
When everything was going against these kids in the community, shortly after 1 o'clock Saturday, they caught a break, an agreement between Sharon, Girard, and District 10 of the PIAA to reschedule the game for Monday night.
We talked about it. We conversed with the seniors. Their answer was unanimous, a resounding yes. We talked to the underclassmen. They're all in too.
A chance to play for their 2 fallen brothers and 2 others who remain in the hospital.
On the outside, it kind of sounds storybook, and, I'd love to read the ending.
In Sharon, Josh Furketic, WKBN 27 First News.
This is just the latest tragedy involving a high school athlete to shake the Sharon community. Earlier this year, 17-year-old LeAngelo Ford, also known as Lily, was accidentally shot and killed inside a home on Strawbridge Avenue. Grief counselors helped students get through that troubled time, just as they are this time around. School leaders say they're better prepared to deal with this type of tragedy.
It prepared us to deal with it. We kind of can think back to what we did and process everything, what needs to happen, who needs to be notified, what supports worked for our kids then, what supports we need to put in place now.
A candlelight vigil for all who died in yesterday's crash is planned for tomorrow, Sunday night at 5:30 p.m. at Sharon Tigers Stadium. The school also plans to address students Monday when classes resume after the weekend.